And welcome back. We've set up our grid lines and we've set up our level lines. Now we can do some actual building in this and take a look at what we've done. The grid lines and level lines, we'll take a look and see our progress that we have. Might close up this in the project browser. You have ceiling plans. We might close that up for now, just so we don't accidentally open up a ceiling plan, which we wouldn't really be able to do very much with at this point. And if you would be wondering why things aren't showing up there, it's because they don't really put a lot of structural steel as part of the ceiling plan. But we'll go open up our elevation that we have available at the top of our screen underneath the ribbon. So we'll go east. Now we have all the levels. Foundation level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have our grid lines 1 through 6 as well. And if we looked at, we'll open up elevation north, and we can see that we have the grid lines A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If we really like to take a good look at what that actually looks like in a three-dimensional mode, we actually can look into view of 3D view of this at this point. We could have before, but wouldn't have really looked like anything yet. Still kind of won't look like very much now, but we can get an idea of what's going on. And at the top of the ribbon, under these tabs, you have a tab almost at the end of the right side called View. We'll click on View, and that'll open up, and almost in the middle there'll be a section here that says 3D View. We'll click on that, and default 3D view, we'll click on default 3D view. And that gives us a grid. You can see that they actually pop up, and you take a look at all your levels, all your grids will pop up as a section. You can kind of see generally where it's at. Not that there's much to look at, but if you'd like to sort of pan around and look at what you've got, you can hold down your shift button and your mouse wheel button, and you can rotate it around. You can actually move it up and down if you take it off shift with just your wheel button, moving it in and out with your wheel button, this sort of thing. If we'd like to go back to the view that we had originally, we can go up to the view cube up in the right hand corner of your screen and right click on it, and then it'll have the option say go home. And that'll put us back into the perspective that we had originally started with. Anyways, to get back into our drawing of the building, let's click level 2 and go from there. What we have here now is the ability to put in columns. So we'll actually want to go into structure, and we can select under the columns command here in this ribbon, under structure, the structure tab. It'll give us the ability to have these columns. We have by default it starts us off with a W10 by 49 column. That would be fine. We'll probably use that in here, but if you'd like to load up more columns, you can just go up into the ribbon and it says load family, and this will be useful for a lot of different things that you're going to have in here. You'll want to have columns, or there might be furniture or whatnot, and depending on what it is you're trying to put in, you could press load family and it'll open up your dialog box, and you could find the file that pertains to that particular component that you're trying to place in. In this case, it will be in here as, well, you could do structural columns, and we have steel, a bunch of different columns that they have in here. You've got a lot of various different types of columns that they'll use. We're going to use this wide flange column. Seems to be what they already have in. And we'll press open. And it should give us a bunch of different options for the wide flange column. We select all that apply. I might grab a bunch of them just to give us some options. It gave us a little warning there, but it's going to load in what it can. And then up in the properties menu, we'll have the ability to load in any of those columns that we have. Some of them it says that it's obsolete. I don't know. I think we'll probably just carry on with our columns that we already had in there. The W44 by, well, that's a different one now, but we'll put in W10 by 33 seems fine. And we'll put that in because we'd like to fill this grid up. We could actually put it in at grids, so at your grid points. This is why it was important to have them spread out in a certain way, so they're a little bit farther apart. But if we did it at grid, then we can highlight all of the grids that we'd like. In this case, we'd like all of them, but we could select only certain ones if we'd like to. But we could do it all of them right now and select all of them at grid, and then we'll press finish. What that's done is actually putting the grids or putting the columns down below where we have our level 2. So it's from level 2 down to level 1. We take a little look at that in our 3D mode, and now we've got columns. They're standing there on grid in those sections. As we said, from level 2 down to level 1, working our way down. So it seems a little odd in a way, because if you're in the building, you're trying to build the building, you would be starting from, the bottom on up. But that's not how this works in this particular case. We will be doing it for a lot of what we do. It goes from that level on down. Certain walls, it will work that way. Certain walls will be from the level you're on up. You can change it, and actually quite a bit of it, but by default these like to go downward for the columns. We'll go back into level 2 and we'll explore some more options here. You can actually see that right now we've got the columns there. We'll press escape twice just to get out of that, so we're not placing columns in there willy-nilly. We've got the columns, you can see it right there. It's showing up on the grid. The next thing we want to do is put in some beams. So we press the beam button at the top of the ribbon. It'll give us the same option. We could load in some beams. I'm not going to worry about that, as it works the exact same way to load in beams of whatever sort as it did to load up our columns. So we'll select this W12 by 26. We're not engineers. We're not trying to make a building here for real. This is just for demonstration, so we can pick whatever it is that we'd like. Your engineer, whoever it is that's getting you to do this drawing, is going to tell you exactly what it is that they would like you to use, and it will be in there in the load families. You'll be able to find the beam and put those beams in instead. But for now, we're just going to put these beams in, the ones that are default, and do it on grid again. So we'll zoom back out, select all of our grid, grab it all, press finish, and just like that, we should have some in there. We'll press escape twice to get out of that and take a look at what we've done in 3D mode. So now we've got a grid filled with columns and beams.